Hello, this is chapter 20, the completion of chapter 20, where we presented two slides, and this is the third one that we postponed it after we finish the lectures. We are coming back to it. The ISLM model, where we are going to discuss on the determination of output and interest rate in the short run. Goods and financial market, the ISLM model. There's the IS curve. Shift in the IS curve, that is interest rate and output. Interest rate, IST. This is interest rate is plotted against output. An increase in taxes shift the IS curve to the left. This is it. Where T prime is greater than T and output is greater than the and Y actual output is greater than this is greater than Y prime. Shift in the IS curve. IS an increase in G, that is government spending, shift the IS curve to the right. That is it. G prime is greater than G. Financial market and the LM curve. Money market equilibrium. Money demand for liquidity, which is L, which is equal to supply of money, M. Nominal money supply controlled by the central bank. This is the nominal money. We have treated this earlier. Demand for money function, nominal income, and the interest rate. Equilibrium interest rate, where nominal money supply controlled by the central bank is equals to the demand for money function of nominal income and the interest rate. Real money, real income, and the interest rate. That's real money, real income, and the interest rate. Supply, real money demand, LM relation. An increase in demand for real balances, where the financial market and the LM relation is we talking about an increase in the demand for real balances. Interest rate is plus against real money, that is MD for Y. This is money supply. An increase in Y, which is equals to greater than increase in MD, which is increases interest rate. This is it. Here, from this to this, and from this to this. Financial market and the LM curve. The LM curve. This is it. A to A prime, from MD to MD prime, and Y prime is greater than Y prime. And what happened to income and interest rate? This is greater than this. This is AB. Shift in the LM curve showing changes in M and P. This is increase in money supply. This is greater than this. That is from this, while the interest rate decreases, what happened? look at it, the increase rate decreases, so now it changes, output increases. What happened? Also continually decreases, and what happened? LM curve shift to the right, while MD in equilibrium. What does the equilibrium requires? Equilibrium requires that IS equals to output equals to this consumption as a function of disposable income Y minus T plus nominal income plus G, where LM is equals to M over P, money supply, and the price level equals to the function of where OI is equals to LM. Graphically, this is where the I is LM and the level of interest is at certain level. I and Y is the only interest rate and aggregate output or output combination that yields a simultaneous equilibrium in the goods and financial market. Fiscal policy activity and the interest rate. A scenario: the President and Congress agree on a policy to reduce the budget deficit by increasing taxes while holding government spending constant. Question: what impact will this fiscal contraction policy have on output and interest rate? What shift IS and LM or both? So is IS. So now from the equilibrium, what will shift? IS and LM before the tax increase equilibrium A, I and Y, then after the tax it shifted back from A to F. Will the tax increase change LM? Decreases and output decreases, so also interest rate decreases. This equilibrium at I, this FA after tax increase, FA after tax increase, I and Y prime, I prime, Y prime, new equilibrium at A. The fiscal contraction lowered interest and output. Here is one of the devil's advocates. Is deficit reduction good or bad for investment? This is a point to consider. Is deficit reduction good or bad for investment? Interest rates falls for investment, but output falls. That is bad for investment. Interest rate falls, good for investment, but output falls, bad for investment. Monetary policy activity and the interest rate. The Federal engaged in monetary expansion, that is, it increases the money supply through open market operation. Question: what impact will the monetary expansion have on output and interest rate? What shift IS and LM or both LM? So now you can see how the open market operation is the one that shifts LM curve. IS and before an increase in equilibrium A. This is it. LM after increase from A to B. This equilibrium at I, A to B. And interest rate decreases, output increases, or like the LM change in IS curve where the output decreases and also interest rate decreases. But now interest rate decreases but output increases, and LM shift to the right outward, new equilibrium at A prime and I prime Y prime. Monetary expansion lowered interest rate and increased output. The effect of fiscal and monetary policy. Shift in IA, shift in LM, movement in output, movement in interest rate. Increase in taxes, shift IS to the left, known, but the LM doesn't shift. Movement in output, downward, it decrease. Movement in interest rate, down. Decrease in taxes, IS shift to the right, but the LM doesn't move. Movement of output, increase in output. Movement in interest rate, upward movement in interest rate. Increase in spending, government spending. Increase in spending, shift IS to the right, LM doesn't move. Upward movement of output, upward movement in interest rate. A decrease in spending, shift the IS to the left and none to the LM curve. Downward movement in output and downward movement in interest rate. Increase in money, none in the IS curve, but downward in the LM curve, while upward movement in output and downward movement in interest rate. Decrease in money doesn't move the IS curve, but LM curve move upward. Movement of output, downward movement of output, that is decrease in output, and interest rate move upward. A policy mix, the Clinton-Greenspan policy mix. The policy record high federal budget deficit. The policy dilemma of 1992. Record high federal budget deficit, 4.5% of GNP, high unemployment and slow growth. Recall, deficit reduction reduces output. Deficit reduction reduces output. Expansionary fiscal policy increases the deficit. Solution: policy mix, deficit reduction and expansionary monetary policy. Using a policy mix, the Clinton-Greenspan, Allen Greenspan policy mix. Interest rates here, output here. ISM before policy change, equilibrium this and Y. After the policy mix, IS shift to the left from point A to point B. After the deficit, B equilibrium without monetary expansion. Then LM shift to the right. Interest rate decreases. LM after monetary expansion, new equilibrium, Y prime, I prime, Y prime. Adding dynamics observation. Changes in output adjust slowly to changes in the goods market IS. Interest rates adjust instantaneously to changes in the financial market. Dynamics graphically. This is it. Interest rate, LM curve, this is IS curve. A prime adjusting to a tax increase. Tax increase shift the IS curve to the left, that is inward. Output decreases because it was initial here, but as it comes here, the output decreases from YA to YB. Adjusting to a monetary contraction, LM also shift from A to B, but in this thing goes from IA to IB. Interest rates adjust instantaneously. The dynamics of monetary contraction with IS LM model. This is the initial I or LM shift after reducing money supply. Interest rate rises to I prime and LM shift inward, that is to the left, from point A to point A prime. Higher interest rate reduces demand and output slowly from this to this to A prime. Equilibrium restore at A prime. This to this to Y prime. Adding dynamics. A summary. Monetary policy changes interest rates rapidly and output slowly. This is what we are talking about. Monetary policy dynamics, interest rate adjust instantaneously, while output slowly or gradual on a gradual process. Slowly, the central bank must consider the output lag when implementing monetary policy. The output lag, that is the previous one, the previous output, how it behaves when considering or designing a monetary policy decision. Does the ISLM model actually capture what happens in the economy? The empirical effect of an increase in the federal fund rates. Effect of 1% increase in federal fund rates on retail sales. Further change in retail sales time quarters. Does the ISLM model actually capture what happens in the economy? The empirical effect of an increase in the federal fund rates. Of an increase in the federal fund rate. Effect of 1% increase in federal fund rates on employment. The ISLM model is consistent with economic observations. The ISLM model explains movement in economic activity over the short run. Thank you. This is the end of our lectures. Once again, thank you. My name is Omar Aliyu, and this is the end of our lectures on money and banking, or money, banking, and financial markets. Thank you. Have a nice day.